I want to give you 3 areas to focus on when you're learning and interacting with native speakers. The first is work on eliminating your accent. I'm aware I said eliminating. It should be at least minimizing it. This is, in my opinion, the most overlooked aspect of language learning today, but it's also the most important one to reach what I call native speaker level or a speaker-like level. If you communicate without an accent or almost without an accent, this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously. And it also gives you an ability to adapt a new self-image. The best way that I have found, the best exercise I have found to improve your pronunciation is what I call the perfect sentence technique. What you do is you find a native speaker to help you, and you take a book in the foreign language, you open it at a random page, and you read the first sentence. Then you ask the native speaker to rate you on obvious accent, slight accent, no accent. Then the native speaker will read this sentence back to you. You have to listen carefully, and then you repeat. And you repeat this process over and over until the native speaker tells you that he can no longer hear an accent when you read the sentence. Now, I realize it can take a very long time even just to get one sentence right. But I promise you, if you are persistent and if you patiently work on this, you will be amazed what happens to your accent. The second area to focus on is using verbs and expressions that locals use. Now, we all know the situation that vocabulary can be region-specific. Like in the US, you stand in line, in the UK, you queue. That's all good, but sometimes the spoken word is so different, the speech is so different from what you get in textbooks, that the books are almost useless if you want to converse with natives. I want to give you an example. In the French language, there are words like le travail, which is my work. A French person talking to his friend would probably say mon boulot, which is a completely different word. The third area to work on is adopting cultural traits. What do I mean by that? So let me ask you, what does this mean? This gesture mean to you? Any Italians here? Okay, now, depending on what culture you're from, this could mean something rude, or it could just mean something incredulous, like, why did you do that? Or how could you? Or it could just be signaling food, give me food. Interesting, in the Middle East, this is just a standard way of signaling, please wait. So these kind of traits you have to internalize, and sometimes they're hard to spot. So all of these 3 things that I told you, which is pronunciation and colloquial speech and adopting these cultural traits, they all require that you interact with natives as much as possible. Ideally, you should fully immerse yourself in the culture. Now, if you have the chance to live abroad for a while, that would be great, or maybe live among natives in your hometown. Perhaps just have a romantic relationship, or even just spend times with coworkers. Even when you're not around natives, your learning must not stop. Because what you can do, you can watch TV shows and films, you can mimic the characters, you can write down anything that you hadn't heard of before, and practice that. I also want to encourage you to learn the lyrics of songs. Songs are really great because they tell stories, and they don't not only help your pronunciation when you sing them, but they also, if they're emotional, they can anchor these expressions into your active vocabulary. The other thing you need to move towards native speaker status is the right mindset and a belief that if you sound like a native, express yourself like a native, talk like a native, and act like a native, you will actually achieve a native-like level. So, if I could only leave you with one thing today, it would be work on your pronunciation, because pronunciation helps any stage of the learning process, even in the very beginning. It will speed up everything. And it also is the key to reaching a native speaker level.